So lambat, kita tinggalkan dia. Okay. Chapter 7, this is your second last chapter, immune system. So this will cover for 2 weeks. Okay. So it is quite a big chapter. Okay. So you have to understand this chapter really carefully from the beginning. Okay. So these are the learning objectives of this chapter. By the end of this chapter, students should be able to, number one, classify the 3 lines of defense system in humans. So we have three lines of defense. Okay, so we have the external barrier, second line defense, and third line defense. For the third line defense, the mechanism is more specific. Okay, it involves white blood cells, which is a lymphocyte, to specifically identify pathogen to be destroyed. As for the first line defense, it is the barrier or external defense. So this one, external defense, your body, okay, the external barrier, your skin, for example, will prevent the penetration or the entrance of pathogen into your body. That is external. Okay, first line defense. Second line defense, if pathogen manage to enter into your body, it encounters the second line defense. So second line defense, for example, it involves white blood cells that is capable of engulfing and destroying any pathogen that enters into your body. Okay, third line defense, if the pathogen manages to penetrate or penetrate the second line defense, dia akan jumpa dengan third line defense. So third line defense ni dia akan trigger the specific lymphocyte to defense against a more specific pathogen. Okay, so for the third line defense, for example, it involves the B cell to produce and secrete antibody. So antibody ni sebenarnya dia adalah di dalam third line defense. Okay. So number 3, describe external barriers. So external barrier is the first line defense. Okay, first line defense. External barriers. Okay, so describe 4 internal defenses. So internal defenses ni yang second line defense lah. Bila pathogen tu dia dah manage penetrate external, dia akan jumpa dengan internal defense. So there are 4 types. Kita akan tengok nantilah ada 4 jenis. For example, you have the phagocytic cell. Okay, you have the antimicrobial protein, you have the natural killer cells, and you have the inflammatory response. Okay, so sebab tu ada 4. So we are going to look at all these 4 internal defenses. Okay, after that, it encounters the third line defense. So this third line defense is divided into 2, which is humoral immune response and cell-mediated immune response. Okay, so the third line defense will activate either of these 2. Okay, humoral or cell-mediated. So humoral, it involves the B cell. Okay, so the B cell will secrete antibody. Okay, for the humoral immune response, it will attack pathogen that are found in your body fluid. Okay, in your body fluid, your blood, your lymph, and also your interstitial fluid. Okay, so when B cell is activated, it produces antibody that will attack specific pathogen that are found in your body fluid. Okay, itu asalnya perkataan humoral ni, your body fluid. Okay, humoral. And then for the cell-mediated response, it involves cytotoxic T cell. Okay, so why do we call it as cell-mediated responses? Because for this one, is to attack pathogen that infected your body cell. Okay, pathogen yang ada dalam punya body cell ni, itu tugas cytotoxic T cell. So cytotoxic T cell will find specific pathogen inside the body cell, and the cytotoxic T cell will kill that infected cell, and also at the same time, it exposes the pathogen, and this pathogen, when it is exposed, one of the mechanism is that macrophage will engulf that exposed pathogen. Okay. So ada mekanism dia nantilah yang kita akan tengok. So this one it involve cytotoxic T cell. So this is the third line defense. Ingat ya, third line defense, humoral and cell mediated immune response. And then after that, we are going to look at immunodeficiency. Okay, so daripada perkataan ni, immunodeficiency is when your body is lacking or cannot produce immune cell. Okay, so this will trigger, this will cause your body not able to defend against infection lah kan. So for example, you have the disease, we call it as AIDS kan. So AIDS is the disease, okay, but it is caused by the virus HIV. Okay, the virus is HIV, the disease is AIDS. Okay, so that is immunodeficiency. Kalau tengok orang yang ada AIDS, dia ada luka-luka. So sebab apa? Sebab badan dia is not able to produce immune cell, okay, due to the presence of that virus. Okay, so kita akan tengok kesan, apa kesan virus tu. Virus tu kalau tak silap saya dia akan kill off the initial cell that is to activate B cell and also cytotoxic T cell. We call it as the helper T cell. So when this helper T cell is destroyed, B cell cannot be activated, cytotoxic T cell cannot be activated. So your body is lacking defense mechanism. So that is one of the example of immunodeficiency. Ada lagi satu term, we call it as autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease, for example, is the disease. Usually it involves genetic disease. Okay, so your body will produce antibodies that attack your own body cells. It attacks self antigen. Kita kalau punya sistem pertahanan badan ni kan, your white blood cells supposed to attack non self antigen. Okay, yang daripada pathogen lah. Your body cells, your immune cells cannot attack self antigen. Self antigen tu adalah sel-sel antigen dalam badan awak ni. Okay, so your immune cell is not supposed to attack self antigen. When your immune cell attack your own body cells, that leads to autoimmune disease. One of the example of autoimmune disease, you have the rheumatoid arthritis. Selalunya dia serang kat perempuan lah, rheumatoid arthritis ni. So dia akan serang, dia akan menghasilkan antibodies that attacks joints. Joints yang dekat jari, dekat sendi-sendi kan. So kalau tengok orang yang ada penyakit rheumatoid arthritis, if not treated early, dia akan menyebabkan jari dia bengkok-bengkok macam tu, sakit. Sakit sangat. Okay. Okay, so part ni ada bagi pada dulu immunodeficiency and autoimmune disease. Okay. The last one is discuss on the prevention of certain infectious diseases. So this is the last one. Okay. Okay, so learning objective dah lama dah. Nak terangkan satu slide ni pun dah boleh summarize the whole chapter. Okay. Okay, so introduction. So immune system. So these are the several terms that you have to take note. Okay, which is internal defense system is to protect the body against foreign molecules by producing immune response. So foreign molecule is referring to pathogen lah. So any pathogen. So pathogens, whatever outside that enters into your body that causes you to have certain disease. Okay. So your body has to be protected against invasion of pathogen or foreign molecule. So this is done by the immune response, the activation of lymphocyte. Okay, the process of phagocytosis done by the phagocyte, such as neutrophil. Kan, neutrophil is an example of white blood cells. That is dia punya cara dia protect your body is to engulf pathogen. Okay, any random pathogen that it encounters, it will engulf. Okay, so pathogen, disease-causing organism such as bacteria, fungus, virus, protozoa, and also worms. Okay, so those are pathogen. When it enters into your body, it may cause disease. Okay, number two, next one, must have the ability to distinguish, okay, self and non-self by unique proteins on surface of cell. Unique proteins on surface of cell, another term for it is antigen actually. Okay, antigen. Okay, so these unique proteins on the surface of cells, especially pathogen, okay, has to be detected by your immune cell. Okay, so this is what we call it as non-self antigen. Non-self. Your body supposed to attack this one. Non-self antigen. Your immune cell cannot attack self antigen. So non-self dia nak attack, self tak boleh attack. So kalau your immune cell attack your self antigen, it could lead to autoimmune disease. Okay. So now next one, respond to signal from injured tissues such as protein released when cell membrane are damaged. This one is it involves the inflammatory response yang kita akan tengok in detail later. Okay. So this one is inflammatory response of the second line defense. Okay. Okay, so the three lines of defenses. So first line is the barrier defense. Okay, prevent pathogen from gaining entrance to your body. So common example is your skin. Okay, so the condition of your skin, it has acidic condition. So this prevents the growth of bacteria on your skin, and your skin is also capable of producing sweat. Okay, producing oil. So this prevent the growth and entrance of pathogen from entering your body. So this is one example. Ada a few more yang kita akan tengok later. Then second line defense is internal defense. So this internal defense is divided into four. First one is a phagocytic cell. Second is antimicrobial protein. Third is NK, natural killer cell. And the last one is inflammatory response. So ada empat. Okay, so the second line defense has four mechanism. So internal defense. So if the bacteria penetrate the first line defense, it will encounter second line defense. So dia punya mechanism is non-specific. Okay, a non-specific resistance that destroys invaders in a generalized way. So for example, you have yang the first one tadi kan, phagocytic cell. So phagocytic cell, for example, you have the neutrophil, you have the eosinophil, you have the macrophage, for example. So whenever this cell encounters pathogen, so it will engulf the pathogen and destroy the pathogen. So that's why dia cakap kat sini non-specific and more generalized way. Dia encounter, dia akan engulf and destroy. Same goes to NK, natural killer cells. It destroys any infected body cells that is infected by any pathogen. Okay, so dia akan destroy. That is the function of NK. Destroy infected body cells. NK ni dia punya mechanism dia, natural killer cell ni lebih kurang sama dengan cytotoxic T cell. Okay, cuma cytotoxic T cell dalam third line defense, NK dalam second line defense. Mechanism dia lebih kurang sama. Okay, so for the third line defense is adaptive immunity. Adaptive immunity ataupun acquired immunity. Kita boleh guna dua istilah tu. Okay, adaptive or acquired immunity. So for this one, the mechanism is more specific. Okay, your white blood cells, to be specific, is the lymphocyte. So you have the T cell, T lymphocyte and B lymphocyte that will detect specific pathogen. Okay, by detecting specific antigen on the pathogen. Okay, so this antigen ni ada contohnya pada surface of the pathogen. Okay, surface of the pathogen. Ataupun chemical release by the pathogen. Okay, chemical release by the pathogen, for example. Okay, so this will be detected by the B cell, for example. B cell dekat surface dia ada receptor. Okay, receptor to bind to the antigen, receptor binding site semua ni kan. So dia akan bind. So dia akan bind. So this will activate B cell. So B cell when it activates, it produces antibody. Okay, so this antibody will circulate in your body cell and find that specific pathogen to be destroyed. Okay, so that is third line defense. So you have first line, second line, and third line defense. Okay. So pathogen invade tissues. So you have tadi innate immune response. Innate immune response merangkumi first line defense and second line defense. Okay. So the response is rapid. So maksudnya bila pathogen ni nak attack je badan awak kan. So kalau first line defense lagilah your skin is already acidic. So this prevent this prevent the pathogen from entering your body. Salah satu lagi contoh adalah pathogen that tries to enter into your eyes. Habuk lah contohnya kan. Habuk masuk dalam mata awak, apa dia punya kesan dia? Air mata keluar kan, tears will come out. So inside of these tears, okay, it contains lysozyme. Okay, it contains lysozyme. So the lysozyme will degrade the bacterial cell wall, and your tears will also provide a washing action. Macam tu. So this prevents the pathogen from entering into your eyes. Contoh, that is one example. So first line defense is barrier. Second line defense yang 4 tu tadi. Okay. So kalau so first line defense yang ni lah, barrier. Okay. So barrier for example, epithelial lining of digestive and respiratory system. So antimicrobial proteins. Ini sebenarnya adalah second line defense ni. Okay, second line defense. Epithelial lining of digestive system ni. Okay, and also antimicrobial peptides. So these are actually second line defense. Pattern recognition receptors, cytokine and complement system. Ini second line defense. NK pun second line defense. So daripada second line defense ni, dia akan melibatkan these two cell, dendritic cell, and also macrophage. Okay, that will engulf that pathogen, that will activate the third line defense. So daripada second line defense ni, bila dia melibatkan dua sel ni sebenarnya dia adalah phagocytic cell. Okay, phagocytic cell. So bila macrophage engulf that pathogen, it activates the acquired immune system. Dendritic cell can also activate the acquired or the adaptive immune response. Okay. Inflammatory response adalah dalam second line defense. Okay. So for the third line defense, okay, when it is activated, it is divided into two, which is antibody mediated immune response and cell mediated immune response. Antibody mediated immune response, kalau awak baca dalam buku Campbell, dia akan guna istilah humoral. Okay, immune response. So betul dua-dua, mana-mana boleh. Okay. Antibody mediated immune response adalah istilah yang dia guna dalam buku Solomon. Okay, so dua-dua betul. Tak ada masalah. Okay, awak nak guna dua-dua betul. Adaptive ataupun acquired immune response adalah benda yang sama juga. Okay. Okay, so overview of animal immunity. So innate immunity. So innate immunity terbahagi kepada barrier defenses, internal defenses. Barrier defenses, first line defense, internal defenses, second line defense. Okay, so for innate immunity is applied to all animal. So it involves recognition of trait shared by broad ranges of pathogens using small set of receptors. So maksudnya bila badan awak detect ini pathogen ni, so dia kena attack macam tu kan. So the response is rapid. Okay, so for first line defense or barrier defenses is the skin. Tadi saya cakap skin, contohnya pH dia acidic, it can produce sweat, can oil for example. So this prevents the entrance of pathogen into your body. And then you have mucous membranes, okay, mucous membranes, and also secretion from the mucous membranes. So these are first line defense. If the pathogen managed to penetrate first line defense, it encounters the second line defense. So second line defense ada 4. Satu adalah phagocytic cell. Contohnya kita ada neutrophil, kita ada eosinophil, kita ada macrophage contohnya. So those are example of phagocytic cells that when it encounters pathogen, it will engulf the pathogen. Okay. Number 2 is natural killer cell, or we call it as NK. So this NK will kill any infected body cells that is infected by the pathogen. So if the NK encounters infected body cell, it will destroy the infected body cell along with the pathogen inside it. Okay. Number 3 is antimicrobial proteins. So this antimicrobial protein, dia punya mechanism dia, dia ada for antimicrobial protein, it involves several proteins. One of the protein involved, we call it as the interferon. Okay, so interferon is produced by infected body cells. Okay, so this infected body cell produces interferon. Interferon will find body cell that is not yet infected by the pathogen. Okay, so this interferon will go to the healthy cell, warn the healthy cell to produce antiviral protein. Okay, so this will prevent the spreading of virus inside of your body. Okay, we have the interferon. Okay, interferon. So that is one of the example of antimicrobial protein. And then the fourth one is inflammatory responses. So inflammatory responses, contohnya awak tercocok jarum. So obviously jarum ni is not sterile. So when the needle is not sterile, obviously they have bacteria, okay, at the surface of that needle. Awak pakai tudung, kan? So pin tudung tu tercocok kat jari, contohnya, okay. So pin tudung tu obviously it is not sterile, so it brings in pathogen inside you, okay, sebab dah tercocok kat dalam kan jari awak. So this will trigger inflammatory responses. So the mechanism kita akan tengok nantilah detail dia, kan. So this one, it involves, for example, neutrophil to come quickly to that infected area, and then dilation of blood vessels to bring more blood to that infected area, and then bila it bring more blood, so as you can see at that infected area, it becomes red and swollen, kan. Dia akan ada rasa sakit sikit contohnya kat situ. Itu adalah inflammatory responses. Okay. And then but if the pathogen manage to penetrate the second line defense, okay, so it encounters the third line defense. Okay, so this is the third line defense ataupun adaptive immunity ataupun acquired immunity, sama je. Okay, adaptive immunity. So this one it involves recognition of traits specific to particular pathogen using vast array of receptors. Okay, so the response is much slower. Okay, compared to the innate immunity, fast. Tapi kalau adaptive immunity, dia slow. Sebab apa? Contohnya, bila pathogen masuk dalam badan awak, pathogen tu akan contohnya di-engulfkan oleh macrophage. Okay, so this macrophage will turn to a cell, we call it as APC, antigen presenting cell. So this APC will activate another cell, we call it as the helper T cell. Helper T cell ni akan activate, baru dia akan activate B cell ataupun T cell. B cell ni bila dia activate, dia akan hasilkan antibody pula. Kena circulate lagi dalam badan awak. So it takes time. Okay. So slower response. Okay. Tapi once the response is activated, for the next infection by the next infection by the same pathogen, the response will be faster. Macam tu. Kalau awak first time kena virus, awak akan sakit. Kan, awak akan sakit dulu, awak akan demam, macam sembuh, whatever. Tapi bila kenapa ada respon tu, sebab badan awak tengah build up immunity. Badan awak akan menghasilkan we call it as the memory cell. Okay, so this memory cell will be stored in your lymph node, for example. Okay, so when you are infected by the same virus, again in the future, you will not get sick anymore. Sebab apa? Dah ada memory cell tu. Okay? Okay, so dia terbahagi kepada dua. Kalau adaptive immunity ni dia terbahagi kepada antibody mediated immunity ataupun humoral immune response. Benda yang sama antibody mediated immunity or humoral immune response. So this one it involves the B cell. Okay, the B cell that produces antibody. Okay, antibody that circulates in your body fluids. Body fluid, blood, okay, interstitial fluid, and also lymph. Okay, lymph. Okay. So that is humoral immune response or antibody mediated immune response. Tapi kalau yang the second type, first type is antibody, second is cell mediated immune response. This one is it involves cytotoxic T cell. Okay, cytotoxic T cell. So this one it attacks infected body cells. Okay, infected by specific virus. So this one the mechanism is more specific. Okay, more specific. Alright. So for innate immunity, so it is a non-specific defense system. So maksudnya apa-apa je pathogen yang nak try masuk dalam badan awak, the innate immunity will try to prevent the infection of that pathogen, the entrance of that pathogen into your body. Okay, so innate immunity detect a broad range of pathogens using a small group of receptor proteins. Okay, so the response is rapid, same response to pathogen each time. So maksudnya kalau pathogen tu nak try masuk melalui awak punya mata, respon dia sama kan, air mata keluar ada lysozyme, washing action macam tu. Okay, the response is the same each time. So found in all animals. Okay, so external barriers lah. So dah explain tadi sebenarnya, dah cover dah sebenarnya kan external barriers ni. External barriers as I mentioned, it is first line defense. Okay, external barriers, first line defense. Dia ingat kalau innate immunity, okay, first line defense and second line defense. Mechanism dia non-specific. Okay, kalau adaptive, specific. Alright. So external barriers, first line defense of innate immunity. So this one, for example, it involves lysozyme in tears, okay, and other secretions. So other secretion, for example, your saliva also contains lysozyme, okay. Your skin surface, physical barriers. So they have fatty acids and also the growth of normal bacteria, normal flora, okay, bukan bunga-bunga bacteria, alright. And then rapid change of pH. So kalau dalam stomach ni acidic, tapi kalau dekat alkaline ni it is more in the intestine it is more alkaline, macam tu, rapid change. So itu adalah contoh dia untuk external defense in the alimentary canal. So in the intestine juga akan ada normal flora, okay, the growth of gastrointestinal bacteria, okay. So flushing of urinary tract. So selalunya akan ada bacteria growth dekat bahagian reproductive system tu kan. So through urination, so this will provide a washing action also. Okay, dia akan provide a washing action also to wash off any possible growth of bacteria in that area. Okay, so you have the mucous lining, the trachea. So the trachea are composed of, for example, goblet cells, okay, that is capable of producing mucus. So this mucus will trap any pathogen or debris that you inhaled, okay, from the air outside. So air that you inhale is contaminated. Ada macam-macam dalam udara ni, ada virus semua, ada pollen, whatever that you are not able to see. Okay, so all this contaminant when it enters into your nostril, okay, so nostril you have kat bahagian luar tu ada nose hair, for example, okay, so that serve as filters. So lining the nasal cavity, okay, up to the trachea, up to the bronchi semua tu dia akan ada cilia. Kan? So cilia will prevent the pathogen from entering into your lungs. Okay, so the lining is also capable of producing mucus to trap the pathogen. Okay. Okay, so barrier defense includes skin, mucous membrane, and secretion from the skin, and also mucous membrane secretion. From skin, you have the sweat, for example, or the oil. Okay, for example. Okay, so skin is an impenetrable barrier. So it is home to the normal flora, which is non-pathogenic bacteria. So when this normal flora grow on your skin, so this prevent the growth of the bad bacteria, okay, the growth of the pathogen that will cause disease. Okay, so this is the anatomy of the skin. So it has the three layers: the epidermis, the outer layer here, the dermis where you have the sweat gland, okay, the hair follicle, and also the oil gland here. Okay, and then you have the subcutaneous, okay, subcutaneous tissues. All right. Okay, so next, the mucous membrane. Tadi yang first tadi skin kan? Second is the mucous membrane. So mucous membranes are epithelial cells that line the digestive, respiratory, urinary, and reproductive tract. Okay, so these systems, okay, obviously it is lined by epithelial cells. Okay, so these are cells that are capable of secreting mucus that will trap pathogen. Okay, specialized cells that are scattered between epithelial cells that secrete mucus. So the pathogen are eliminated by specific mechanism. Okay. So kita akan tengok contoh mechanism for each system lah kejap lagi yang ni. Okay, so tadi kita ada apa? Digestive, respiratory, urinary, and reproductive system. So kita akan tengok for each one. Okay, so mucous membrane that lines the digestive tract. So pathogen enters the stomach with food. So all the food that you eat is not 100% clean, for example. Okay, so it is contaminated also by bacteria. Okay, so these pathogens are destroyed by the stomach acid. Your stomach can produce apa? HCl kan? So that's why the pH of your stomach is really acidic, pH 2. Okay, so one of the function of the hydrochloric acids, okay, is to destroy pathogen. Another function of the HCl is to activate pepsinogen. Okay, pepsinogen to pepsin to digest protein. Tapi fungsi HCl juga adalah untuk kill off pathogen. Okay. So and then you have digestive enzyme in the intestine. Okay, in the intestine produces the digestive enzyme that also digested the pathogen. Okay, and then you have the normal flora in the gastrointestinal tract. Okay, the good bacteria that live in your intestine. Right. Okay, second is the mucous membrane that lines the respiratory tract. Okay, so the epithelial cells that line the respiratory tract also have cilia. Okay, daripada nasal cavity down the trachea, bronchi, bronchiole, semua tu akan ada especially trachea lah kan, akan ada cilia. So pathogen present in the inhaled air are trapped by the mucus within the trachea, bronchi, and bronchioles. So the function of the cilia is to swipe the mucus that has the pathogen trapped inside it to sweep upward towards the glottis to be swallowed in the digestive tract. Kalau saya nak draw kat sini, saya draw macam tak adalah berapa nak cantik sangat kan. Hidung orang tu. Okay. Kalau tak cantik, tak apalah. So dia akan masuk kepada trachea kan, trachea. So dia akan branch, macam tu kan. Nasal cavity ni, nasal cavity kat sini. And inhaled air So dia akan masuk kepada ruang yang kita namakan sebagai pharynx. Ini pharynx. Okay. Bila dia masuk kepada branch yang akan pergi ke lung, dan ini akan bukan ini trachea. Trachea, bronchi kan supaya kepada lung. Dia akan ada satu junction ni ke stomach. Ini pergi ke stomach. Macam tu, okay. Ini pergi ke stomach. Alright. Dia, okay. Okay, trachea ni akan ada cilia, right? Okay, dia akan ada cilia dan dia akan ada mucus. So the air that you inhaled in akan trap dengan mucus secreted. Cilia tu akan move upward. Dia move up, dia akan swipe the mucus that trap the pathogen upward, and then dia akan masuk ke dalam ke dalam esophagus lah. Esophagus, dia akan swipe supaya dia masuk ke dalam esophagus dan to be destroyed in the stomach. Itu fungsi dia. Okay, cilia is to swipe mucus upward towards the glottis to be swallowed in the digestive system, sebab dia akan ada junction pertemuan antara trachea dengan esophagus tu. Okay, so tengok balik awak punya diagram kan, so ada junction antara pertemuan trachea dengan esophagus. So bila trachea punya cilia sweep the mucus upward, and then it enters into the glottis and enters into the esophagus to be destroyed by the hydrochloric acid in the stomach. Macam tu. Okay. Okay, so mucous membrane that lines the respiratory tract, you have the cilia, cilia, and then you have the goblet cell. Goblet cell is to produce the mucus. Okay. And then susunan sel dekat lining of trachea is pseudo-stratified. Ingat balik chapter yang kita belajar sem lepas, yang kita belajar the different type of cells kan. Pseudo-stratified epithelial cell maksudnya dia punya panjang sel tu ada yang tinggi, ada yang rendah kan. Pseudo-stratified tu. Okay. So that is pseudo-stratified, nampak? Ada yang tinggi, ada yang rendah, ada yang tinggi kan, ada yang kecil. So that is pseudo-stratified epithelial cells. And in between that you have the goblet cell to produce mucus, and then it is lined by cilia. Okay. So down below you have the basement membrane and also connective tissue. Okay. So next one tadi respiratory tract. Now is the female reproductive tract. Okay, so the female, in female, the vagina secrete sticky acidic secretions that kills pathogen. Okay, the condition of the vagina has to be acidic to kill the growth of any pathogen. Okay, and it also this acidic condition will promote the growth of the normal flora, the good bacteria there. Okay, so when you have the normal flora, it prevents the growth of the bad bacteria, the pathogen. Okay. In that area. Next one is the mucous membrane that lines the urinary tract. So in both male and females, secretion from the epithelial cells such as antibacterial agents inhibit bacterial growth. Okay, so ada secretion that is secreted by the urinary tract to prevent growth of bacteria. This we call it as the antibacterial agent. So the urine, it is acidic. Sifat dia acidic. So when the urine is acidic, so this inhibit the growth of the bacteria. Okay, as the urine flows through the urethra, so it gives acidic condition to that area that prevent growth of bacteria. So the urine also provide a washing mechanism. Okay, so this is to cleanse the urinary tract or flushes away pathogen of the urinary tract. Okay. So the next one tadi mucous membrane kan? Mucous membrane for the reproductive tract, for the respiratory tract, and also for the digestive tract. So now we are going to look at the different secretions, okay, from the skin and mucous membrane. So you have sweat, okay, for the skin, for example, mucus, okay, for the lining of the trachea, saliva, okay, in your oral cavity, tears produced by your eyes. So these secretions, okay, are hostile to many microbes. Okay, so oil, sweat glands give human skin a, um, a pH of 3 to 5, okay, which is acidic to inhibit the growth of pathogens. So they also contains lysosome, especially saliva and also tears. They have lysozyme, okay, that will degrade the bacterial cell wall. Okay, so for now, kita stop dulu. Okay, kita akan sambung hari Jumaat lah. So far ada soalan?